Most Etsy sellers are making the exact same mistake, and the crazy part is it's usually because they're following advice that's meant to be helpful for them. People say find a bestseller, make something similar, and list it for sale on Etsy because it has proven demand. And that makes sense. There are people shopping for and buying that product today, so why not just make your own version and list it as well? But there's one huge problem. If you're only looking at listings that are already a bestseller, you're usually already too late. Because as soon as a listing becomes a bestseller on Etsy, thousands of other sellers have already found it, studied it, and unfortunately, hundreds of copycats are already chasing it. Today I want to show you a completely different way to do Etsy research, and I use these exact same methods to create my monthly trend reports in my private community every month that are constantly getting people sales 3 days, 4 days, 5 days after they list items from the trend report. These are methods that help you find the opportunities before everyone's even talking about them. And one of these ideas actually helped one of my students take a listing that had a bestseller badge but lost it and started slowing down with sales, improve it, and actually regain her bestseller badge within 2 weeks. And hello, if you're new here, my name is Cassie Johnson. I've been selling print-on-demand products on Etsy for the last 6 years. I've sold over $1 million worth of revenue on the platform, and I've helped thousands of other sellers get their first sales, their first 100 sales, and even become 6-figure and 7-figure Etsy sellers themselves. I'm also the founder of Simply Listed, the mockup automation tool that can save you hours every week making mockups for your listings. That way you can spend more time on the fun creative parts of it and get more listings up in your store for sale. And let's start with the mistake that almost everyone's making: the bestseller hunter trap. Let me be clear, I study bestsellers too, and so should you, but not necessarily for the same reason that other people do. Most new Etsy sellers see a bestseller and they think, I should make a design like this for that same customer. But that's where things start going wrong, because now everyone's studying the same thing. The same customer shopping for that item, the same design style, the same saying, the same types of graphics. And they all end up creating something that's about 20% different in design from each other. I call this the 20% trap. They change a font, change a graphic, move things around, and think that they've made something original because it's not a carbon copy of the original. But here's the test. If the original seller of that first design looked at your design that looks really similar, would they feel like you copied them? Let's take this read more books design right here. That is a recently popular design on Etsy. Here's what I'm talking about not doing. All of these sellers here made a version of the design that, yes, is slightly different for the most part. Some of them copied more than others, and I can see how some of these people might think that they added value. And be honest, how often do your designs look this similar to the actual original? Because while you're not necessarily like violating any rules by doing this, it's just actually a weak business strategy. Because if everyone's studying the same winners and making slight variations to it, then what's your competitive edge? At that point, you're just competing for leftovers because that original listing already has sales and reviews, which is why it's a bestseller. So that leads to a much more interesting question. If we shouldn't be hunting bestsellers, what should we be hunting? I want you to find outliers, not bestsellers. This is where it gets interesting, because if you're only studying bestsellers, then you're actually studying yesterday's winners. And if everyone's studying yesterday's winners, everyone ends up making yesterday's products. So instead of asking what sold 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that now is becoming a bestseller because of it, I like asking what is starting to work right now. I call these outliers. An outlier is a listing that's gaining momentum before it becomes obvious to everyone else and becomes the next bestseller, before every Etsy YouTuber starts talking about it, and before it gets copied. And my favorite tool for finding these opportunities is Everbee, because instead of just sorting the search results and looking at the bestsellers, it helps me find what's going to be winning next. And I'll share my top 3 methods to find these outlier listings to help you get ahead of the competition. But make sure you stay tuned, because if you don't do what I'm talking about in the next section, then these listings might not even sell, even if you find them early. Method number 1 is the momentum filter. Coming over here to Etsy, if you wanted to do it the old-fashioned way, you could scroll through the search results and click on listings until you find some that are newer and have started selling but aren't a bestseller yet. But that can be a really tedious process because Etsy doesn't really tell you how old listings actually are. That also takes a really long time. So that's why I'm going to be showing you Everbee. So if you've never used Everbee before, it is a Chrome extension that's built right into your browser. So when you're looking at any search result, which I do recommend starting with your main product type, like in this case, I'm looking at the word shirt. But if you're working on a specific niche, you could type that in here as well, like the word teacher or the word mom, or you could look for whatever product type you're selling. And then you come over here to the left and you click this product analytics button. On this page, you'll click Everbee database, 200+ million listings to search all of the listings on Etsy, not just the ones on that page. And they do have a few filters that you can test out as well, like their new and hot button, which sorts by listings that are less than 3 months old. You can click their rapid growth button, which is going to show listings that are gaining a lot of traction in a short amount of time, or even just trending and look through some of these search results. But I like to dive a little bit deeper and more specific because a lot of the listings that are really new and are selling ridiculously well, like 3 months old and have sold 1,200 times, might have to do with something copyrighted, have probably already, again, become a bestseller and been copied a lot. I like to actually click on this filter and I want to sort by listings that are even a little bit newer. So let's say 2 months old at the most, and actually put in a max of 30 sales total. And again, we're not looking for bestseller badges. Scrolling through the search results, you might find something like this one that's 2 months old and has sold 25 times. I'm going to blur this design because that's not the point of this video. I don't want you all copying the same thing because again, then no one will make sales. But this listing is 2 months old, has sold 25 times, and it's in 20+ cards. But notice it doesn't have a bestseller badge just yet. This is where a lot of gold mines exist on Etsy that a lot of people are overlooking and only finding after it's gotten that coveted bestseller badge. Or listings like this one that it's 1 month old, Everbee thinks that it's sold 0 times, but we can see that it's in 20+ carts. This is exactly the kind of opportunity I'm talking about. On to method number 2, which is the favorite explosion method. Coming back over here to Etsy and Everbee, this method is very similar, but instead of searching by total sales, we're actually sorting by total favorites. If you don't see this total favorites button right here, you can click the customize button and turn on any categories that you want to be able to sort by. And then you'll be able to sort by which listings have the most total favorites. Now something like this that's 2 months old, has sold 29 times and has 1,400 favorites is a great listing to look at, but it's probably a bestseller. But then hopefully it'll find us gems like this, where this listing's 2 months old, it says it's sold 21 times, and it's in 20+ cards, but it's not a bestseller just yet. It does have an Etsy pick badge, but it's not a bestseller, which means a lot less people are gonna be searching through these and using these as inspiration for their next designs. So ideally what you're looking for is items that are not a bestseller and have 20+ items in the cart. Now you will see a lot of bestseller badges when you're looking through those search results still, and we can still use those to research, but in a different way than maybe you normally do. And that's method number 3, which is to actually follow the stores, not the listings. This is actually one of my favorite methods. Most sellers just research listings. Well, I do a lot of research on specific stores that are having success in general. When I see a listing that's got a bestseller badge and is getting a lot of traction, it makes me wonder what else are they doing right in their store in other niches that maybe I haven't even thought of finding yet. So let's say I found this listing that's 2 months old, has sold 17 times, and it's got a bestseller badge. Instead of making a design for this exact same niche, what I'll do is actually click on their actual Etsy store. And there's 2 ways you can do this research. The first way is using Everbee again. You can click Analyze Shop, and you can analyze all of their listings in their store all at once and use some of the same methods we're talking about in method number 1 and method number 2. Like filtering by what are their newest listings. So saying what's 2 months old, and then sort by which ones are getting the most sales. And that led me to find this listing they have that's 2 months old, has sold 29 times, and is in 20+ cards, but doesn't have a bestseller badge just yet. This is a perfect signal of what I'm looking for, that's getting traction, people are buying it, but no one else is finding this listing and making designs for this same niche just yet. The second method is to come to their Etsy store and actually sort their listings by most recent. That's going to show us which listings have most recently sold for them or were mostly recently listed. And that led me to find this listing that's 4 months old, has sold 12 times, but 2 people actually bought it in the last 24 hours. Now, I wouldn't have found this listing using my other methods because it's actually 4 months old. Every month, I'm trying to find opportunities before they become obvious to everyone else. Because again, we're not trying to figure out what sold 3 months ago. We want to know what's selling today that's going to be really exploding in sales in the next month or 2. But finding the opportunity is only half the battle, because most sellers still make one huge mistake after they find these opportunities. And that leads us to section number 3, which is trend transplanting. Most sellers, when they see a niche that they want to design for, they see that there's demand for, say, teacher shirts. They look at other teacher shirts for inspiration to see what kind of design they should make. But that's a huge mistake. The next step up would be looking at other teacher-related products for inspiration instead of just shirts. So taking a look at teacher mugs, teacher ornaments, different teacher gifts that maybe you can't even sell, but then you can get some inspiration for different sayings, different types of graphics that are proven to win in the teacher niche. But the real magic is, what if the next best-selling teacher design that you're going to make isn't inspired from the teacher niche at all? What if it's hiding somewhere else entirely? Maybe I find a fake definition design in the nurse niche and get inspired to make my own fake definition for a teacher. Maybe I find a social club style design in the dog mom niche and I make a similar design idea for a teacher. Or what if I see a personalized option in the camping niche and get inspired to make a design for the teachers? I'm not copying the design, I'm transplanting the idea. I call this trend transplanting. Taking a proven concept from one niche that's completely unrelated and applying it to another niche before anyone even notices. Because some of the biggest Etsy trends aren't new ideas necessarily, they're old ideas finding a new audience that hasn't seen that just yet. And something to really help this sink in is something called the 75% rule. Because again, we want to avoid that 20% trap where you see a bestseller, you make a design that looks really similar, and you list it for sale. I teach that your design should be either 75% different or even better, 100% different, and I'll show you exactly what both of those look like. Let's look at this design example right here that's for the reading niche. This is what a design would look like if you made it 75% different. A 75 different design is the exact same saying, but it looks completely different. Different graphics, different design styles, different colors. It looks nothing like the original, because with this, we're targeting a totally different customer that would love this design style more than the other one. But even better if you can make it 100% different by coming up with a new saying and a completely different design style. Like this example here, where they kept the same dinosaurs reading niche. They're targeting the same customer, but it says something completely unique and it looks 100% different than the other one. So instead of asking yourself, how can I change this design enough to not be copying? Think, how can I target this same customer, but give them something completely different? Now let's do another example. Let's take this really popular design that says, I have rabies, in a nice minimalist font. A big mistake I see is people just changing the font and making a minimalist version and listing it themselves. That's exactly what I'm talking about not doing. Now, a 75% different design might look something like this, where they used the really popular halftone method to make this black and white bat looking design with the same text, I have rabies, but it looks completely different. So a very different audience might be interested in this kind of more gothic style than the first one. But even better if you can again target that same customer, but come up with something that looks and says something completely different. So you might use a really similar title targeting people who like unhinged humor, dark humor, and sarcastic shirt, but you make them something completely different like this that says rage consumes me. The same type of customer would probably love both of these items, but instead of being the 200th person to make a design that says I have rabies, you take that same information and know that someone is looking for these sarcastic, unhinged, dark humor items, and you make them a completely new saying and design. That's where a lot of the magic really happens. And if you're not that inspired on what sayings to use, one of my favorite places to get inspiration is looking at other product types, looking at greeting cards, and even memes. You can can even use something like ChatGPT to help you brainstorm ideas that a similar customer might really like as well. This will feel kind of hard in the beginning, but I promise this is one of the skills that will pay off more than anything else that you work on in your business. Most of us aren't naturally good at this when we first get started, so give yourself some grace, but please give this a try and actually make designs that look 100% different. It will make such a huge difference in your business. And lastly, your next bestseller might already be in your own Etsy store. I had one of my students, Ashley, share in my private community this week that she had a bestseller that kind of stopped selling and slowed down. She looked on Etsy and she saw that some other people had actually copied her. Now, instead of just getting frustrated or giving up on that listing, she did something smarter. She looked back at some messages she's gotten over the last few months of different things that people wanted added or changed, like extra personalization or having it be able to say this instead. And she actually improved that listing. She added a badge to the thumbnail talking about the different options that were inside the listing. She added some more products that people could choose from, and just overall made the listing a better offering. And within 2 weeks, she actually had that bestseller badge back on that listing. She wasn't chasing the next shiny object. She was improving a proven winner. So I wouldn't go back and add a bunch of things to listings that have never sold. But do you have any listings in your store that you think could actually be improved to convert even better? Now, I typically don't recommend changing anything about the title or the tags because that's going to restart where you are in the search results. But could you add other options to the listing that people have asked you for? Could you make it personalizable if it's not now? If you have a listing that's sold decent but never turned into a bestseller, look at other bestsellers for that niche and see what they're doing that you're not. This is a good exercise to do once a month and just take a look through some of your listings and see if there's any upgrades you can do to existing listings instead of just focusing on the next new listing that you're making. So while most Etsy sellers are only studying yesterday's winners, I hope this video helps you find tomorrow's winners before everyone else. Start looking for momentum, start looking for outliers, start looking for opportunities, but make sure you follow the 75% rule. Add value and make it your own. It's not easy, but it is simple. And if you'd love a leg up on this research and see my trend reports every single month, I'll put the link to my private community down below where you get my monthly trend reports. And if you're watching this right when it comes out, then the trend report's about to come out on the 15th of this month, and you won't want to miss it. With Q4 coming up just around the corner, we're going to be talking about all things Halloween, believe it or not. And stay tuned on Friday because I'll be releasing a video with the top 10 sub niches for Halloween that are the most profitable that you can actually start designing for right now. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and come back on Friday for that video, and comment the word community down below if you want me to send you the link to my private community so you can check out those trend reports. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.